Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Glad to have you along as we have made it to the halfway point of the week. And it's all downhill from here. But my, oh my, it's not exactly a warm downhill slide, is it? But that's okay. Getting ready for some Pacific Northwest weather as this weekend's game between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Oregon Ducks, a top 7 matchup. High of 59 on Saturday with some rain showers, baby. So getting a dose of that Pacific Northwest stuff right off the bat. How's everybody doing? How's your week going? Looking forward to another fun day today. Kyle Neddenriep will join us. Indiana volleyball coach Steve Aird's going to join us. And Steve Wiltfong from On3, one of the national recruiting analysts. We'll talk some football, of course, but plenty of other things to talk about. Of course, the Major League Baseball playoffs are underway. And, man, the Yankees, last night, Toronto had them down 6-1. But that's nothing for the Bronx Bombers. They come back and end up winning 9-6 on a gigantic clutch 3-run homer by Aaron Judge. Man, sparks were flying. And the Yankees keep rolling. They're now up. Well, no, that was the first game they won. So that was a desperation win. Otherwise, they are in big trouble. But they're back. Now down trailing Toronto 2-1 in that series. So we'll see how that rolls as game 2 comes up. And then, of course, the rest of the Major League Baseball schedule. We have more games coming up. Today with Seattle at Detroit. Man, you want to talk about some hitters. They've got them there in Seattle. Milwaukee is at Chicago today. Chicago, man, they got to get it going or they're out as well. But more interesting games. Seattle beat Detroit on Tuesday 8-4 in the American League Divisional Series. Seattle now leads that series 2-1. Toronto's up on the Yankees, like I said, 2-1. The Mariners, or rather in the National League, you've got Philadelphia at Los Angeles tonight late at 9 o'clock. So lots of baseball going on. It's still rolling. Man, who was the dude that the other night threw 104 miles an hour? I think that was a Brewers rookie pitcher. What's with these rookie pitchers? The Yankees had one. Man, these guys are just roping it. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Yeah. Jacob Mizorowski the other day, the rookie. He hit 104.3 miles an hour. Man, that's just like that's a memory going by when that ball crosses the plate. You don't even see it. You hear the umpire call a ball or a strike. You're like, okay, whatever you say. Because I didn't see the damn thing. Wow. Victor Oladipo making noise over in China. As a matter of fact, the Chinese team that he was playing for played, I think, the Spurs in an exhibition match. And Victor Oladipo, pretty good performance. He's 33 years old, trying to make the comeback, the former Hoosier, but after a severe injury. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, 3 assists, and a block. We'll see. We'll see. Can he make it back? Well, yeah. If there's trust me, any team that thinks he might be able to help, they'll lace him up. But wishing him the luck to see what he can get done. Excuse me, I'm sorry. How reckless has North Carolina been with their football program? I mean, it's a joke. Bill Belichick is an absolute bust. And I don't know if you're keeping up with that at all, but they've had, like, his general manager was sending out emails to big donors talking about how this is a rebuild process and, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got players saying, hey, I'm not part of any rebuild. I'm here to win now, man. And how you can say that, the simple fact, and not only are they in a rebuild process, but that they need to build this from the ground up with great recruiting classes. And it just shows you how lost. It's like someone told Bill Belichick what football used to be like. And that's what he's trying to do today, because that ain't it. And that ain't going to work. $10 million a year, 3-year guaranteed contract. So if they were to fire him, besides the $10 million that cost him for this season, they got to pay him another $20 just to go away. Ridiculous. But they're getting everything they deserve, everything they're getting. I think that is just hilarious. And it's just so obvious. If you paid attention to the stuff that's going on down there, it's so obvious. This is all right. You can use Indiana, you can use Oregon, you can use a lot of programs as an example. You look at those programs, how they're being run, how they're being coached, how their rosters are being put together, how everything is being run as an organization. Then you look over at North Carolina and you're like, wait, what? It's like looking at the NFL and elementary, because some of the crap they're doing over there. And here's the most recent thing. Bill Belichick has banned New England Patriots scouts from any North Carolina stuff. Just New England, which in essence hurts his players. But let's see. What was it? Oh yeah. Former North Carolina quarterback, unfortunately for North Carolina, had a great game. Not only a great game, but a major comeback win for New England over the Bills, the Super Bowl favorite Bills. His name is slipping my mind at the moment, but they didn't put anything out about this. Usually schools are promoting, oh man, Curtis Rourke did this, and this last night, or whatever the case may be. Nothing. But it went on for hours, and then I think people were asking about it, and that's how childish Bill Belichick is. But his childishness goes beyond. He's hurting his own program. I mean, it's just a weird joke over there. And the funny thing is, his girlfriend has nothing to do with this part. So this is Belichick. This is on this crazy man, Bill Belichick, who North Carolina is just throwing millions of dollars at. Throw it at me. Just let some of it bounce off and hit me. Jeez. I couldn't screw up any more than he is, and I probably would tell you it would be a lot less. Promise you. I mean, come on, man. It's nuts. That's basically malpractice with their football program. Obviously, that football program is just circling the drain, and this is year one. I mean, look at Indiana's very fortunate. They went in the opposite direction. North Carolina is going down the drain. The biggest news, the NCAA approved the new transfer portal window for football. Single portal window only now in January. Begins on January 2nd. Runs for 15 days to January 16th. There will be some teams that are still playing football when this happens, but you have to do it sometime when it works out right. This is really the only time. It's going to kind of suck. There will be, I think, 4 teams that are still playing by then, the quarterfinals. And for teams that make the CFP championship, there is a caveat. Players who were on or are on one of those teams, they get a 5-day window beginning the day after the championship game. They don't get the full 15 days, but that's sorry. Something had to, it had to go how it had to go. Players that are on teams with coaches leaving, they still get the 15 days, and it begins 5 days after a change. But now you've got one transfer window, so that should help things out. Coaches like Ryan Day didn't like it because he expects to be in the championship. I get it. But you know what? It benefits 99%. So that's just how it's going to have to be. And it's how it will be. How it shall be. Let's see. Drake May. There you go. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate you there. I couldn't get that name off for some reason. Yeah, Drake May's the quarterback for the Patriots I was talking about earlier. That former North Carolina guy. I think he was there for 3 years. Huge win. Belichick is exactly fool's gold, new life. I don't know that UNC got taken for a ride. UNC took themselves for a ride. They do some stupid stuff. Is Bubba Cunningham still there? The guy that put North Carolina in the tournament last year and was in line to make a bonus for doing so for that team making it? Yeah. Who cares? Yeah, this portal window, it's going to make things better. You're going to know who you got. You got Pam. It all happens at one time. So bringing things more in alignment. I think that and you know what? You learn to live with it. You'll learn to live with it. Because that's what you don't have a choice. It is what it is. Hey, let's take a break. Looking forward to today. Kyle Neddenriep will join us. Steve Aird from the Indiana Volleyball program. And let me tell you what, Indiana Volleyball, we don't cover a lot of volleyball on here, not because I don't like it or anything. It's just, usually time, but you got to recognize what's going on. And they're rolling. They went to the West Coast last weekend, beat USC and UCLA. You think of volleyball, who are two of the teams you think of? Heck yeah. UNC or USC, Southern California, and the UCLA Bruins swept them. Now they're ranked from a conference that is the toughest conference in the country. I think the Big Ten has 6 or 7 teams ranked in the top 25. It's a brutal conference. But yeah, looking forward to talking to Steve. Haven't talked to him for a while, but I've got to get myself invited to dinner there. And I'm going to tell him that. Say, hey, man, I've got to have dinner sometime, because his wife is a 5-star chef. Brian pointing out the Pacers tipped off last night. Starters look good, but they lost McConnell to a hammy. DeLon Wright got knocked out with a big cut over his temple. Yeah, how about that? Coming off of that 1-point win, wasn't that an overtime? Big win. Lots more coming up. Glad to have you along on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Woo! We're getting ready for that Oregon weather, baby. A little chilly out there this morning as warming up throughout the day. Back with more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along. Looking forward to Kyle Neddenriep joining us a little bit later as high school football getting close and closer to the playoffs. Absolutely. I think week 8 for the high school for the high schoolers on the gridiron. Man, it rolling right along, and their season is just getting out there. Dan Lanning, of course, the coach at Oregon, one of the hottest names in college football. Of course, Kurt Signetti, you may have heard of him. Think about the clash that's going on this weekend out in Eugene with Indiana and the Oregon Ducks, number 2 Oregon Ducks. Without question, I mean, you'd put Kurt Signetti in a top 5. Dan Lanning would be in the top 5. Ryan Day would probably be in the top 5. Who else would be in the top 5 from a coaching standpoint right now? Not from the Big Ten, just from anywhere. As I'm trying to think, who is someone that is like, oh man, if this school could get that guy. It's not Steve Sarkisian from Texas. They're just overrated, and I think finally that is being seen. And poor Arch Manning, he's now, seeing columns being written as, is he the flop? Is he which I don't think you can call him a flop, because the people that heaped this stuff upon him, they're the ones that put all these expectations out there. Yeah. Christopher says Steve Elko at Texas A&M. I agree with that. Yep. That I definitely agree with that. And as a matter of fact, I would say, yeah, he's done a heck of a job. He has done things at Texas A&M. He has them playing at a high level. He has them competing in the SEC, which is a tough deal. So I would absolutely agree with that. The coach at Texas Tech, but of course, I don't want to throw out too much love for Texas Tech, because you've got Cody Campbell, who is the billionaire behind trying to make changes in college athletics. He wants to get rid of the NCAA, which, yeah, I know that a lot of people said, yeah, get rid of the NCAA. Yeah, hold on. Not so fast. Yeah, they've done a lot of boneheaded things, but they also do a lot of things that are good. And you couldn't just replace that. You can't just first of all, and I saw this, and it is absolutely true. I think something that he doesn't understand is the NCAA is the schools. It is the schools that have, created this lack of, not a company, but an area to do what they were supposed to do. Now, they haven't always done it right in every way, but they do the championships and all of those things very, very well, and managing all of that stuff. But are there tweaks and changes? Absolutely. But college athletics also needs guardrails, but they need the right guardrails. They don't need every Tom, Dick, and Harry politician jumping in and saying, hey, this is what we should do. This is how you run college athletics. These people have no clue. And that pressure sometimes forces things to get done in a way that is not the best. So we'll have to see. Philip throws out Tulane coach John Sumrall. Now, I'm not familiar with him, but I know Tulane has been doing a lot of good things. So that would be a young name, definitely. I don't know that I would put him in that group that I'm mentioning right now with Signetti and Lanning and Day and Mike. It's Mike Elko, right? I think I said Steve. Too many Steves on today. From Texas A&M. But I never thought that Indiana would have a problem with Kurt Signetti going anywhere, but never say never. And not that anything has popped up to change my mind on that, but you just look at places that you think have money, like Penn State. They're not going to do anything until after this season. You're not going to fire a coach, especially one like James Franklin, midway through the season, because in their minds, and rightly or wrongly, they still have a shot at making the college football playoffs. Yeah, they got the Jesus knocked out of them by UCLA in that horrible, horrible loss. And overcoming that is easy for Penn State on paper. They have to beat Indiana at home, and they have to go beat Ohio State. Beating Indiana is not going to get them into the college football playoffs. A. B, well, they just have the one loss. Let's say they lose to Ohio State. That gives them 2 losses, with one of those losses being to that UCLA. I just don't think they can overcome that. Look how far they dropped in the AP top 25. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. Does it make it easier for Indiana now that Penn State is viewed so sketchily? Probably, because that elevates Indiana as to being one of the top 3 in the Big Ten. Now, Michigan can sneak in here because they should end up 10-2 looking at their schedule, even though they're not that good of a team. They're limited offensively. They have a very good young freshman quarterback, but they don't have a lot going on with him. But it's Michigan. And if Michigan goes 10-2 with their only losses to Ohio State and what was then a top 5 Oklahoma team that still might make the CFP playoffs, that's going to be hard to keep. It's going to be hard to keep Michigan out, with the exception of there's going to be a lot of SEC schools that have that are going to be 9-3 this year that are going to have an argument. And there's going to be a 9-3 SEC team or teams that get in because of the parity in the SEC, because there are so many ranked teams there are in the SEC. So they have, while you have more opportunities to lose to a good team, you also have those opportunities to win. But I don't see any less than 5 SEC teams getting in. And with the parity, I think that you're going to see multiple 9-3 teams from the SEC make it. The Big Ten just doesn't. We talked about this. They don't have that cachet once you get past the top-notch teams. Now, doesn't mean teams can't get better. Can Illinois rebound from that unbelievably disastrous beatdown Indiana put on them? Ironically, yeah, they can. They kind of started that with that win over USC, but that was at home, and man, that was a walk-off. So, yeah, I just don't see them. I'm Philip says never say never. Absolutely. That's why I backed it back, but he will get approached. And everybody likes to say that, Signetti's wife loves it here. Well, who has heard her say that? First of all, I laugh every time I hear that, because I'm like, okay, you know what? Somebody said that along the way, in a post or something, and everybody has just ran with that. I'm not saying she doesn't. She's one of the most personable coaches' wives I've ever been around or seen. But as a matter of fact, I'm going to take that back. she is the most personable one I have personally ever been around or seen. Very much a part of what, it reminds me of a lot. If you watch College Game Day now, especially, they don't just have Nick Saban involved. They've got Miss Terry, his wife. She has become a part of that. But that's because she was so much a part of what they did down there. And I'll say that the same for Minette Signetti. She's in it in a good way. You know, she's at the press conferences. She goes to his radio shows, talks to people, takes pictures with people. Very personable, very friendly, very nice. You don't always see that. Most of the time, you don't know who the coaches' wives are because they just stay in the background. But this has been a natural, organic thing. That's the best part about it. And that's what makes it so good. It has been just a natural, organic, I'm just hanging out for the coaches show. I think it's been a good thing. It just creates an environment that I think carries over to that team. We'll talk about that with Steve Aird. Again, he's got a wife like that, but his happens to be a 5-star chef. Man. Oh, can you imagine how handy that would be as a football coach to have a wife as a 5-star chef? Okay, we're having the offensive line over today. Honey, let's beef up some ribs. And you'd only have the best ribs you'd ever had. Incredible. Man. And for the folks that are heading out west, and I think that there are a lot more going out, or not just going out, but going to this Indiana-Oregon football game than people think. This is the same thing that happened when they played UCLA last year. There were a lot more fans at that road game than you ever saw at a road game before. But it wasn't so much as everyone traveling from back this way to out west. It was a combination of those traveling out there and those that live out west. Indiana's got that high alumni. Biggest one in the country, I think, now. But they're everywhere. And I know that there's a group meeting on Friday that at a place where I'm going to go out there and hang out with them. As a matter of fact, hopefully I get there early enough. It's prime rib night at oh man, I think it is just it's something tavern. I'll find it in a second. But that's Friday night. Now Thursday or game day, man, everything's off the table now because you're going to have some iffy weather, but there's just so many things that goes on. Then you have game day, which is happening, and that's just a big old mess of students and all that, and fans. IU fans are not going to want to mess with that. I wouldn't. If I were you, I would just stay away from all that stuff. The weather's going to be iffy, so I'd find a place inside. Now they are having an Indiana event out there, like they did at UCLA, I believe. It's like $30 to get in, open bar or something, or that gives you some drink tickets. I'm not a part of that. That's something to do with IU, I believe. They also, American Airlines charted a flight out to Eugene just for Indiana football fans. I mean, when's the last time that happened?
When is the last time that an airline created a special flight for a regular season football game? Oh, let me see. That would be yes. Never, Alec. 500 for never. Exactly. That's never happened. You see that for a bowl game or something. I'm trying to pull that up. It was $1,000, I think. But got you in on Friday, got you out on Sunday. Better than my arrangements. I'm skipping Big Ten Media Day, which begins today on the women's side, happens tomorrow on the men's side. Big Ten Basketball Media Day, of course. We've got all the guys from the Hoosier.com are up there. They've got 4 different guys up there covering this. I know Alec Lasley's up there, Cal Staley's up there, Zach Browning and Colin McMahon also all up there covering that. And then 2 of those guys are heading out west for the football game. So a lot going on right now. And tomorrow, FYI, I don't think I'll be able to make it on. You'll have Coach Griffin and a host of others like Great Day. Speaking of which, I think maybe Zach Browning, I'm not sure, but that's the wrong day. I keep looking at the wrong day. What am I looking at? Oh, well. You'll have Coach with you, Dustin Schutte, Matt Taylor, and there's someone else, at least. And then I'm back Friday from Eugene to do the show. Don't worry. I will be taking a rain suit, Brian S. That's the thing. This is such a different packing situation than just a couple of weeks ago from, I forget where I even went here recently, but yeah, lots of rainproof clothing. It's not going to be raining the whole time, but it's when you think of Seattle, even though we're south of Portland, most think of that rainy weather in Seattle. That's what it's going to be like. Just overcast, high, like I said, a high of 59. Now, football players are like horses. Their body temperature likes to run at a lower air temperature. And 59, 60 degrees, kind of perfect, really. Now, except for the quarterback, got to get that arm ready or warm. Keep it warm. How will that affect the game? I don't think it really will, because I don't think it's going to really be rainy. But if it did rain some, it would affect it from a passing standpoint. But both of these teams run the ball. Indiana, of course, one of the nation's leading teams as a rusher. But then you have Dante Moore, a very elusive quarterback for the number 2 Oregon Ducks, who Indiana is going to have to be getting after it. People can dream, Andrew. People can dream. If IU were to win and Ohio State has even a close game with Illinois, whom the Buckeyes play, could Indiana be number 1? I mean, they are that close. That's pretty close to being able to be number 1. This is probably the closest Indiana's ever been to being able to be ranked number 1. If they were to win this game, you beat the number 2 team in the country, or 3. I think they're 3. They should be 2. Actually, I think they should be 1. It's hard, but it's hard to move Ohio State out of that spot
unless Ohio State moves themselves out of that spot. But that's close. I mean, really close. Brent says that Signetti said his wife loves Bloomington. Well, I'm sure he did. What are you going to say? She hates it? And I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying that one comment has been blown sky high. Okay, so she's enjoying it. I'm sure you're going to enjoy most places where, no offense, when you're making that kind of money, but I'm sure that they would learn to love other places if need be. I don't know how much you would learn to love Happy Valley, though. I mean, that place is in the middle of nowhere. And I'm not talking about Florida. I'm talking about Penn State, because Penn State is going to have an opening. I feel like. And Pat Kraft, the former Indiana football player, whom could have been Indiana's AD, started out at Temple, did a great job, moved up, and then, boy, he took over Penn State, and he has done some stuff there. Hey, let's take a break. So we're heading through this first hour. Glad to have you. Looking forward to Cal Neddenriep joining us as Indiana high school football rolls into week 8, I believe, this weekend. Also on the schedule, Indiana volleyball coach Steve Aird as the ranked Indiana volleyball team, after sweeping UCLA and USC, continues their season. Steve Wiltfong from On3, national recruiting analyst in football, dude, joins us as well to talk about the biggest game in the country. Big enough that Game Day got off of its SEC tandem to go do one out west, which it's not easy. Like I've said yesterday, it's going to be 6 a.m. everyone's time that usually works on that show out in Eugene. That means it's going to be dark for the first hour and a half, probably, of Hey, welcome back. We just had a power outage in the studio, so hope you guys can bear with us for a little bit. Was getting ready to take that break, and that makes it difficult now to do that from here. So we may have to roll on with this as you guys bear along with me, as we've had a power outage unexpectedly at the ISB studios. As if you're following along on social media, you can see that I'm now sitting in the dark. And that, not as much fun. I was getting ready to hit a break. Hard to do that at the moment. So we're just going to keep it here. How many people, is there anybody listening that is heading out to the game? I leave on Thursday, as I said, which is why I will not be here tomorrow. It's just traveling out west is just difficult. Very difficult. And the worst part is coming back, especially if you send multiple days. So I just started practicing last night, stayed up pretty late. Not intended to really do that, but I'm like, you know what? Might as well just get started because that's how it's going to be. Man, and it's always fun doing things on the run like this with power outage, things of that nature. Very unexpected things. Hopefully we can get Coach in here in a little bit to help out. Jump on. Because this is not great radio right now. I'm not going to lie to you. And just hopefully we can do enough to where we can edit it out for the radio stations when we have to. Man, well, this kind of stuff happens, I guess. This is a first. This has never happened. And just going to deal with it. Does Indiana really have a chance to go out to Eugene and win? Yeah, I think that they have a chance, but I don't know that I'd say that chance is great. It's like I already have. So, wow. Just sitting here in the dark, talking to my friends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day, although it looks nice outside. So, not sure what caused the power outage. Hope, I know where the studio is. Everything's underground. So that's why having that problem is so rare. But into each life a little rain must fall. Thomas Bryant, I saw, signed with the Cavaliers. Good for him as he continues his resurgent NBA career. He looked like he was on the way out. And then I think it was Miami he started playing well with, but then they had Khalil Ware, another former Indiana player, but then he hooked up with the Pacers, had some great minutes in a championship or not a championship season, but a championship game season. So it earned him some more credibility. Brian pointing out IU versus Marion a week from Friday. Not only that, Miller Kopp also on the Cavs. Michael the Music Man says, "Oh, I'll be darned." Well, that won't last. He's not quick enough, I don't think. But hey, good luck to him. Good luck to him. Then Indiana plays Baylor at Gamebridge. And I also noticed the basketball schedule came out yesterday with times for all the games. You can find that at thehoosier.com. And let's see I think there's 5 or 6 games that are going to be on Peacock. Just like Indiana's football game next weekend at home against Michigan State, also on Peacock. So if you have it, you might as well just keep it. But the good thing is when basketball rolls around, there's only maybe 2 months that you'll need Peacock because of the games they have. It plays out to be about 6 weeks, actually. So you'd only need it for 2 months. For hoops. But go to thehoosier.com and you can see not only the times, but what they're being broadcast on. Which network? A lot of different networks, man, right now. You've got Big Ten Plus, you've got Peacock. Let's see, they're on CBS. They're, of course, on Big Ten Network. You're on Fox. You're on FS1. Geez, am I missing anything? Holy smokes. A lot of different, it's not the old days. WTTV and yada, yada, of course. Man, that stuff sailed, man. And sports are going to streaming services. Now ESPN has their own deal out there. Jason doesn't like football on Peacock. I think that Peacock might be one that when I've watched it, there's a lag or something, and it's always on there. I don't want to say it if it's not, but it just seems like it's something weird. Oh, and you cannot DVR the live streams or those streams. Well, that stinks. Yeah, I'm definitely a DVR man. I like to go backwards and check it out and rewatch, especially football games, because when you're there, you're in the moment, you're covering things, you're thinking about things, you're writing stuff down, and you see individual plays, but you're not seeing the overall play. There's just too much to look for. So I definitely like to go home, rewatch the games, see how the lines played, see how different position groups played, see what worked, why things worked, et cetera, et cetera. So we're just sitting here hoping we're going to get power back. But amazed that I can continue doing this so far. I did not expect to be sitting in the dark today, conducting a radio show. But you got to roll, man. You got to roll with it when life comes to you. A lot of basketball coming up, not just for Indiana fans, but Big Ten Basketball Media Days going on today and tomorrow in Chicago. We'll have some stuff for you there. I don't know. Dustin Schutte is probably also in Chicago. We'll be in Chicago tomorrow, so maybe he can give a preliminary report of things up there. You've got Darren DeVries making his first appearance at Big Ten Media Days. I don't think he'll have to tell people that Bloomington is in Indiana. Just a joke. Deshaun Foster joke. Yes, Fred, this is the Halloween edition. Great capture. But for those of you just joining, especially if you're joining on social media, you see me sitting in the dark. We had a power outage at the ISB studios, and no idea why. Beautiful outside. And nope, the bill's paid. Man, that's all that stuff is. I don't trust myself to remember to do anything like that. So all of that stuff is set up automatically. Otherwise, it would probably be like this a little more frequently. You know, earlier I was talking about Bill Belichick. How much longer do we have to deal with that ridiculousness? I mean, it is a joke. I think that every day that this goes further, North Carolina embarrasses himself more and more. Exactly, Brian. It's an embarrassment to them because they're trying to spin this now. First of all, this started out as Belichick's girlfriend, we thought. I think she was only half the problem that we imagined it to be. It's actually Bill Belichick and his childish, immature ways. I mean, he is literally acting like a school kid, not banning New England Patriot scouts, which hurts his players, and
I see you lost me. Trying to get Kyle Neddenriep in. I know that he is in the studio ready to come on. Here we go. I think I can do it. Kyle, I can't believe it. I managed to do this, but we're enduring an unexpected power outage. This is not the Jason special from Halloween. So,
are you okay?
I'm fine, other than
Good.
sitting in the dark. Luckily, technology is a wonderful thing, is all I can say, because we're sitting here in the dark. I'm doing a radio show on my phone at the moment. It was able to pick that up without losing the connection. And so I just been a little lost for words for a little bit, trying to scatter things about, as you can imagine. But how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I mean, that kind of I do post-game videos sometimes from my car, and that's pretty much what I look like in the darkness. So I'm right at home here, kind of in the dark with you. And, that's it sounds bad, I guess, but that's kind of how I do my own videos is late Friday nights in the darkness.
Well, yeah, this is definitely not fun. So if I drop out for a second, you just continue. Don't worry about me, because I'm going to try to get in touch with someone that can help with this situation. But we're going into what I believe is week 8 of the high school season.
Yeah, week 8 this week. Also the week for the sectional draw on Sunday. So
oh, wow.
Kind of an interesting week. We'll have these games Friday, but also everybody kind of looking forward to seeing where they're projected to go for the sectional draw. So that always kind of, allows people to kind of plan, coaches to plan for what they have upcoming. And, depending on how you end up doing with the draw, you can kind of project ahead potentially if it's a team you can beat, or kind of see where that toughest team is going to be once you get into the sectional. But yeah, we've got a lot of really good games upcoming this week, including, as I'm going through my schedule here, we had Lawrence North and Center Grove is probably maybe the most interesting game on Friday night, where Lawrence North, they had a huge win Friday night, scored 63 points in a comeback win over Warren Central, 63-48. Isavion Moore. And as you go through the kind of the list of juniors, or list of top players in the state, and I was kind of doing this yesterday, but man, the junior class is just exceptional. And Isavion Moore, or Zay Moore as people call him, he's one of the best juniors in the state. 309 yards, 6 touchdowns on 27 carries in that win on Friday. And then Darian Prather, the quarterback, is just a sophomore for LN. He had 204 yards in the air, and then 140 on the ground and a touchdown. So, and Prather picked up a Toledo offer last night as well. But Moore, I think, is gonna, he's got some MAC offers, and some. I'll be interested to see where he ends up getting his best offers from. He's a smaller back for sure. He's maybe 5'7" or so, but I don't know if height really matters all that much for running backs, because he's super shifty. Really,
I've always heard size doesn't matter, Kyle.
Yeah. Well, for size, and I know you're joking, but man, he's a strong running back. He's a guy who can, and I kind of hate to compare him to like Barry Sanders, but that's kind of way he moves. I mean, he made a move against Warren Central on the sideline on Friday night, where he was going up the left sideline, and play they had to have. It was 3rd and 12. And I got a clip of this I posted on Twitter, but he's pinned into the left side of basically on the sideline there. They're down, or it's a tie game at that point in the fourth quarter. They had to get a first down, or they're punting back to Warren Central, and he somehow makes like 5 guys miss in a very small space, and ends up getting that first down, and then they score on the next play, or he scores on the next play. So just an exceptional talent, and like I said, I don't know where he ends up committing to or where his best offers will be, but such an exciting player. He may be more of a MAC type player, at least to start out with. I don't know. There's still a ways to go in that recruitment, but he's very talented. Looking forward to seeing him play again Friday. And then Monsoon Sales also, man, he's 5-star receiver. I talked to him Friday night about his recruiting, and of course IU's in that mix. And I thought actually Davion Chandler was there Friday too. I was standing on the sideline covering the game, and I hear my name, and a couple times I'm like, who's? And I turn around, Davion Chandler's standing there. So I caught up with him for a little while, and of course Omar Cooper, an LN grad, is also on the IU receiving core. So Monsoon's got 2 guys from LN in his ear about going to IU, but that's going to be tough. I mean, he's got pretty much everyone in the country, or not everyone, but he can kind of pick his school. He went to Miami for a visit, really liked it. Wrote about that a little bit. He visited A&M this weekend, I know, as well. But yeah, I think IU's got a fighting chance there. I mean, and anytime you can get in on a 5-star receiver, that's good. He's fast too. He plays defense. A lot to like about him, and a really nice kid as well. So it'll be interesting to see. That's going to be a heavyweight recruiting battle that IU's got a couple of things in its favor in that, but that you're battling a lot of blue blood programs for him.
Yeah, and Indiana, I've mentioned this before, they've never landed a 5-star recruit in football. And I've been expecting that to happen, by next season. So I'm surprised it hasn't. And with games like they have Saturday, top 7, the biggest game in the country in college football, a top 7 matchup on College game day at Oregon, national TV again. But you also have a quarterback that at what 1 week was the odds-on betting favorite to win the Heisman. He's still going to be in that mix. You've got All-American type receivers with Elijah Sarad and Omar Cooper Jr. that they can see. The offense that Indiana uses is one that works out great for being a wide receiver. And I can see Indiana, their first 5-star, being someone like this, because they see that, hey, Indiana is a place where I can go now and be seen. All these games are on national television. All the attention that the program is getting, they're likely heading back to the college football playoffs again. So we see a lot of guys go off to a place like Ohio State. I'll use Zed Mikowski as an example, and it didn't work out quite like he had hoped or whatever, and now he's at Indiana. So I know it always looks great for those big time, the programs that have been big time, but the sport has changed, man. And Indiana is actually in that group. So it will be interesting to see, can they win that recruiting battle? That's a major recruiting battle for Indiana on a lot of different fronts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a chance. I don't know if, it's hard to know for sure, like what ultimately it's, and NIL and all that's going to play a factor also. I mean, you can't discount that. I think IU's in that battle now, so to speak. So I think there's a lot working in its favor for Sales, but also it's just tough when, gosh, I mean, you go to Miami and, it's I'm sure, I know he really enjoyed that a lot, that visit, so, and he's been to Notre Dame, he's been to Ohio State this season, he's been to A&M. I think there's one other one I'm not thinking of right now, but basically he's been to IU, that as well. So he has been there for a visit. So, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it may not be the end of the world if you don't get him. I don't think it would be, because they're in the battle for a lot of different, Omar Cooper was a 3-star. It wasn't like he was a 5-star player. He's turned out to be, I think we all knew he was capable of doing great things in college, and he has. So, you don't always need those 5 stars, but when they're in your backyard like that, yeah, it's a big deal to be in the mix for them. And you think even back to Caden Curry at Center Grove and what he had IU very, very high on his list, and ultimately went to Ohio State, and now he's turning out to be, kind of like we thought he would be in college. So, it's hard to get those guys when they have those great options. But like you said, IU's in a different place now than they were when Curry was going through the recruiting, and you wonder how that much changes things for players now, and seeing the proof of concept is a major thing, and how you're using your receivers. That's normally, honestly, that's what players look for the most, whether it's basketball, football. How are you going to use me at my position? And of course the winning and the interest, and now the money matters also. But I think the proof of concept to see, just how you're going to use me at my position is a big deal. And I think that'll be, part of this conversation with Sales also is, and I think you can see that now, with the way they're throwing the ball. So, yeah, I think there's good things there. I mean, he said great things about IU every time I've talked to him. So you kind of, I think they are. And I don't think he would be just saying that to say it. I think they are a factor.
Well, I would expect that. And Purdue, man, if they bounce back, I'm impressed with what Barry Odom has done. And so they probably won't have a tough problem kind of reestablishing some good recruiting grounds in the state of Indiana as well. But it seems that, is it my imagination, or was last year's class just a lot deeper for Division I talent in Indiana than it is this year?
Well, yeah, that's probably the case. 27 is super deep. Might be one of the best classes I've seen. This junior class upcoming is really good. I mean, there's a lot of really good players, even beyond. And you have a 5-star that that's rare. So you put that at the top of it, but then you go down the list, you're like, man, there's just a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And I don't know that obviously IU and Purdue aren't going to go after all of these guys, and they may end up going to even FCS or MAC level or whatever. But even still, I mean, it's fun to see this much talent. And I just go down the list every week. I'm like, man, all those guys are juniors or even sophomores, and it's a really good class. I think this year there wasn't the, you have a few, the JJ Finch types and a few of those, but not maybe the overall depth. It's not a bad class, I would say, but yeah, I don't know if it's got I think 27 is going to be, I think we'll look back at that class and be like, man, that was a great class. And I was talking to somebody last night about who's coached at the youth levels, and I actually tweeted that out yesterday. It was like, man, it's, whatever, the talent's really high, and texting back and forth with him, and he's like, I've coached against all these guys for years. It's a great class. And he was mentioning guys I didn't even hadn't even thought of that are like, man. So yeah, it's to say a lot, to say a little. It's a really good class.
What's coming up this weekend that's got your attention?
Like I said, the Sunday sectional draw, we'll have, I think it starts at 6 to 8, and we'll have some conversation about that, see what happens out of that. And remember, the 6A and 5A will get a week off. So it's that first playoff week is sort of not as huge, I would say, because only the 4A on down are playing, but that'll be a big thing. Find out where everybody's playing, who they're playing. And then, and then Friday night, obviously we'll have coverage of tons of games around our area here. And like I said, LN and Center Grove will be a good one. Carmel and Warren also. Warren had a great performance on offense against LN last week, and that'll be a fun game to see what happens there. Carmel's legit, man. They're I kind of wondering if they might be the best team in the state. So we'll see what happens with that. But looking forward to another week. I'm kind of sad we're getting down to the last couple of weeks of the regular season, to be honest with you. Well,
but you know what that means. We've still got a ways to get to Thanksgiving and whatnot, to put away the pigskin. But the round balls, they'll be coming right out behind them, and that'll keep you busy, my friend.
Well, once it gets below freezing, I'm ready to go inside, so that's fine.
Oh, it felt like it was heading that way today, man.
I know. And you're in the dark. It's probably getting cold in there.
Boy, You're not lying. Heading out to Eugene, Oregon this weekend, and the high on Saturday is going to be 59.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that'll be
Typical
awesome.
Northwest weather out there, man.
That's one of my when I'm retired and get to go to have Saturdays off, I want to go to Eugene sometime. Eugene and LSU. Those are two places I'd like to see.
Well, for those of you that don't know, and I know are fans of the movie Animal House, it was filmed in Eugene and Oregon and places around there. So you can look for the was it Kappa Kappa Delta or whatever they were, man.
Yeah. Niedermeyer.
Some of the great minds, man. What the hell are we supposed to do, you moron? He was one of the writers of that movie, actually. That's what's funny. But Kyle Neddenriep joining us from the Indy Star. Make sure you're giving him a follow, keeping up with all of his coverage, because he keeps you in tune to what is happening in high school sports around this state. Appreciate you, my friend.
You bet. Thanks, Jim. Have a good day.
Thank you. Coach Grip joining us as well. Coach, man, yeah, we had a power outage hit us, and I got the text message from Duke or whatever. You have a power outage. I'm like, no kidding. No kidding. But yeah, so thank you so much for being able to jump on and save us, because I was having trouble navigating because I had to go to my phone. Luckily, we were able to continue with the show, although it was not the greatest radio in the world there for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to let you take us to break while I can get in touch with our guests.
All righty, sir. We'll be right back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
Welcome to Indiana Sports.
Thanks for.
That's okay. Just hit it in there, buddy. We'll try to edit that stuff out. And when I know,
we just the Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. As we navigate through some technical difficulties down there with Jim and power outages, the funnest thing to have happen to you when you are live and on the radio as well. So he's trying to jump back in here right now, and fortunately, I was walking in the door from my appointment when he said, I need you to jump on. So happy to help out in that occasion. and talking a little bit of high school football there with Kyle, as of course up here in the great Northeast Indiana as well. Some really good football players and some really good teams that will be finishing up here in a couple weeks. So high school football getting ready to head to the tournament time in Indiana, as well as high school basketball. Some of my favorite times of the year because you got everything going on. World Series getting ready to start here in a couple weeks after the divisional finals, figure out who we got going in for the final two. And then, of course, you've got NHL hockey starting as the Rangers and Pittsburgh Penguins played last night. So a lot of things going on in the world of sports. And I know Jim trying to get things back up and running. But remember tomorrow night, we'll have the Hoosier Tailgate 7:30 breakdown of Oregon as the Hoosiers are heading out to Eugene in what will be a classic matchup, one of the best matchups to date here in college football this coming weekend, as yours truly is heading out there to Eugene. And
yes, sir.
I heard that the weather forecast, a little rain in the forecast there for Eugene.
I don't know how much it's actually going to rain. It's just going to be like, one of those.
Misty.
I'm here, and if you're not wearing something, you're going to get soaked by the end of the day, kind of thing. But it's going to be a chilly, one of those Northwest. You think of Seattle, you think of the rain, and the deal is, my last television job, I used to be a TV sports anchor, and I worked in Washington State. But there's a mountain range that runs through the middle of, obviously the Rockies, but this is actually the Horse Haven. They call them the Horse Haven Mountains or hills, but that runs kind of through the middle of Washington. Well, all that rain that happens in Portland and Seattle stays on that side. You go on the other side of that mountain range, dry as a bone.
Some of the great.
We're able to. We're trying to get. Trying to get Coach Steve Aird with us. I sent you a text. If you could forward the link to him at that address. We're bouncing around today. I apologize as we've had a power outage hit us, and we're trying to make do. Trying to get Steve Aird on as he was set to join us, Indiana's volleyball coach, who has that program rolling. That has been an ongoing build for 5 years, where you're trying to build something in the toughest place you can build it, the Big Ten Conference. Because I wasn't aware that until I started covering Steve years ago, that the Big Ten Conference is so unbelievably difficult in volleyball. It's just as difficult, if not more, in volleyball than it is in wrestling. It's than it is in football, more so than it is in football. There's like 7, maybe 8 teams. If I had power, I could look it up, but I don't. But there are like 7 Big Ten teams ranked, at least right now. And I think Indiana, when they beat UCLA and USC was ranked. I don't know that UCLA was, but hey, they beat them both, and that's a hell of a run, no matter what. But it's like I had Angel Escobedo won. He just went into the IU Athletics Hall of Fame. He's the coach of IU wrestling. There's another sport that's not a sport you want to try to build at a program in the Big Ten, wrestling, but he's done it. He's got that program ranked. I mean, that coaching at Indiana right now, I think, is at an all-time high for everything. Not just, you could say when you had Bob Knight and Jerry Yeagley and Doc Councilman and those guys in swimming, that was a golden era, and it was. But I'm talking about across the board now. Darren DeVries has got to achieve something, but I think that the basketball program is in good hands. Football, there's no question That's been Lazarus, the resurrection unbelievable that's happened there. Women's basketball has been doing very well under Terry Morin. You've got Todd Yeagley, who is killing it still in soccer, had a number 1 ranked team early this year. Jeff Mercer in the baseball program. I just saw a stat that I reposted yesterday, I think, that Indiana had produced the 7th most major leaguers in 2025. That's more than 11 SEC schools. And I don't think there's an SEC school that's not good at baseball. They own Division I college baseball. Own it. Now, you may get a team every now and then from the ACC or like the Big 12 out in that Southwest part, but they own, because baseball favors the warm weather teams. That's why the Southeast Conference dominates. And Louisville has had a good program for a while. And they were the furthest north until Indiana really became a program to reckon with. Now they're the furthest north, really, to be a good program. I know that Michigan is working on that with IU's old coach, and we'll see how that works out. But wow, to do that says you're either producing a lot of talent or you're developing a lot, or you have an eye for a lot of talent. But congratulations to those. Were you able to get that sent out, by the way?
Yeah, I just sent it out to him and should have it by now.
No worries. I will. You keep talking, and I gotta do work on the phone. It takes me off sometimes.
Yeah. You were talking there about Indiana's talented coaching roster and what they've been able to do there at Indiana for the last 6, 7, 8 years, and a lot of those sports that have just come to the forefront is as an athletic department, it's truly amazing with what they've been able to do. You talked about being able to attract talent, having an eye for talent, and then most importantly, to develop the talent that they've been able to bring into Indiana and those sports. It says a lot about the department as a whole, Scott Dolson and his leadership, but more importantly, the leadership from the top down, from the head coaches down through the assistant coaches, as well as those individuals in the strength and conditioning and nutrition program. I don't think people realize the amount of individuals that are involved in these sports teams at the collegiate level nowadays, and what it all takes to perform at the highest level. And when you have kids that are striving to be the best that they can be, they want that edge. They want that leadership and development to be at the forefront. And that's what helps attract kids to your institution. And the best person or people to sell your programs are your student athletes. And when those kids come on campus, that's the first thing they're going to ask them. How am I going to be developed, and what do you have? So that the fact that Indiana has done a great job with that is truly amazing in that regard. One thing I would say about some of the questions I see popped up, I am not going to Eugene right now. As of now, I'm not going. But we will have everything as we normally do here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio with the post-game show. And we may have a pregame show to come up too as well. We are working through some details with that, so stay tuned to Coach Griff's Twitter at Coach Griff 55, as well as Jim Coyle, for those last breaking announcements of maybe what we will be able to do as Jim heads out to Eugene. So I was just talking about some things that we will continue to be doing this weekend as the post-game show, and potentially something we're working on for a pregame show, potentially after you get out there and get a lay of the land out there in Eugene, because of time change and all that good stuff. We're still trying to sort through the dynamics of when, where, and how. So I told them to stay tuned to.
I may find an alley and stay there and go, everything is okay. Everything is okay.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I understand what you were talking about earlier about the difference in the atmospheric conditions based on a mountain range. That's the same thing in Denver. Is very, very interesting. I
don't know if there's much elevation, and keep an eye out for Steve Ayers.
Yep, I will.
Yep. I don't know if he's going to be able to now or not because of the time, but that stadium, it's no bigger than Memorial Stadium, roughly around 54,000. But it is known, as is Assembly Hall, for being extraordinarily loud because of a couple things. Number one, it's a complete bowl. The sides are obviously a lot bigger, but the ends, they're all seats. Where in Indiana, on the south end, you've got that thing that they built to connect the stadium, but those aren't seats, and they've got some standing room up above on that platform, and then you've got those field level suites at the bottom. But I don't know, that doesn't add a lot. Then on the other end, it does actually have more seats, but it's not all completely seats. You've got office things laid out there. But on top of that, it's built into the side of a mountain. And there's nowhere for the sound on that one side to go to. So it literally bounces back. And they've measured it at some point up to 127 decibels. That's pretty loud for a 54,000 seat stadium. It just is. And let me know when we need to break, by the way.
I will look at it here, probably here in a couple minutes there, Jim, is based upon my time. But yeah, no, that stadium, like you said, is very unique in its design, as well as the acoustics of how it does come back at you, so to speak, from bouncing off that mountain aspect of things. But they have a very, very unique game day environment there at Oregon. So those that may be heading out to Eugene, you're in for a treat as it pertains to not only the football game, but a very, very beautiful part of the country there in the Northwest as well. So that will be something for the Hoosiers. And like I was saying, Monday night on the tailgate, 2004, last time I believe Indiana went out to Oregon and won with Jerry DiNardo as the head coach, and the Indiana had a great win out west. And so that in itself will be a big thing with the noise Saturday there in Eugene. Well, we're going to step aside once again. We're going to take a little break here. We'll come back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back to a powerless Indiana Sports Beat radio show today. Hope everybody's doing well. We will reschedule Steve Aaron and get him on. We could not make a connection there, unfortunately, but we've got Steve Wiltfong instead from On3 national recruiting analyst and just all-around football guru. Steve, we had a power outage right in the middle of the show. When in the middle of the radio show, and I was sent scrambling to grab my phone, and luckily the connection stayed live. And while there will be some things that probably need to be edited out, we're still hanging on there. So thanks for bearing with us, man.
What's going on, boys? Hell, I didn't know about it till you told me. Although it does look dark in your house there right now. What's going on, Coach Griffith? What's going on, fellas? Excited to be on. Obviously an exciting time to be following the Indiana Hoosiers as they go out to Autzen Stadium for what's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. You know, that stadium, as far as attendance, is not going to be one of the biggest in the country. But as far as electricity, noise, home field advantage, those guys get after it out there at Oregon. It's going to be a heck of an environment, and obviously a terrific opportunity for Curt Cignetti and this football program to show if they are ready to go to another level. I mean, this is a team that is certainly in the conversation to be in the college football playoff. Are they a football team that's in the conversation to win a few games in the college football playoff? We're going to learn a lot more about them this weekend, and it's not a must-win game, in my opinion. I think Indiana's margin for error, the way they play week to week, goes up because I think they are earning the respect of the college football playoff committee with the way that they're playing, the exciting brand of football on both sides of the ball. And so go out to Oregon, play at a high level, and see what happens as you continue through your football season.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And talking about that stadium, it's unbelievable that a stadium that size, it's the same size as Indiana's Memorial Stadium, around 54,000, but it's built into the to a hillside, and it just makes it unbelievably loud, and it's crazy. And Indiana does not audible. And Steve, I see that you were able to join us. Man, it's been a wacky day, Coach. If you can hear me, we're probably going to have to reschedule you, and I apologize for that. We had a power outage here today that really screwed us up. So hopefully Coach Eric can hear us, the Indiana volleyball coach who has taken that program from being just a bottom dweller to a ranked program in the Big Ten, which is the toughest conference. So congratulations to him. But yeah, everything that you said is accurate. I think that in Indiana, but they need to play a 4-quarter football game. They don't have to win, but they have to, in my opinion, it's time for them to show that they're competitive with these guys, because if not, then that doesn't give people impetus to want to put you in certain places. Although this is a tough environment and nobody expects Indiana to win this game. Vegas doesn't expect them to, and most pundits will not expect them to. It's not that they can't. They can. They have the talent. They have what they need. It's just a tough place to win. They have the longest active win streak in the country right now, Steve. So, yeah, a lot of people have failed.
Well, certainly Oregon's a program that is playing at a high level under Coach Dan Lanning, who gets the best out of his players. They have an incredible culture. They're a hard-nosed physical football team that has already shown that they can play well in intense situations. But Indiana's as efficient a football team as there is in the country. This is the number one passing efficient team in the land. They're number 5 in total offense. They can really run the football. This is a team that's top 5 in running the football, and there are multiple players that make an impact in this offense. You don't know where the ball is going. You say Indiana doesn't really audible. They don't have to, and they have so many weapons, so many guys that can touch the football and make things happen. It obviously starts with the quarterback Mendoza, who's come in and been as impactful a transfer as any program has had in the country. But this is a wide receiver room with Surratt and Cooper that can make a lot of things happen. And then certainly there's 4 or 5 guys that can really run the football and make a difference. And then defensively, Coach Haynes is as good an assistant coach as there is in the country. Top 5 defense. Scoring defense, number 3, which is the most important category. They're number 6 in team passing efficiency defense, number 7 in passing yards allowed. Oregon, Dante Moore, this football team, they're going to have a lot of pre-snap challenges against Indiana. The one thing that the Hoosiers are never going to be when they step on a football field is not prepared, out-coached. They're going to have a game plan that's going to put them in position to win. Then it's about going out there and executing mano. And so going out to play this Oregon football team who has a chance to win the national championship, hell, they were good enough to win the national championship last year. Their only crime was losing to Ohio State the second time. I mean, they beat the Buckeyes the first time. They lose in the Rose Bowl, just had a terrible first half, but they showed the grit and culture of that program to continue to battle in the second half and play hard. They showed that in the fourth quarter at Penn State in a hostile environment. And this is a football game that I'm very excited about. In Indiana, for the second time this season, boys, is playing in the biggest game of the weekend. They obviously played at Illinois, they hosted Illinois. And what was the biggest game of the weekend? And they beat Illinois so bad that all of a sudden people were saying preseason polls don't matter. That's how bad they beat Illinois. People were like, oh, people annoyed at Illinois. They're not very good. Indiana just blitzkrieged them. Well, Illinois just came back the next week and beat an undefeated USC team. Indiana has a chance to really earn some respect this weekend. If they should already have it, but for the average, for the casual, as my friend Josh Pate calls them, it's time to put some respect on the Hoosiers' name. They're playing at a level of football that we've never seen before in any of our lives. And they got a chance to go out to Oregon and play at a high level against a great football team. And they'll be up for the challenge, and we'll see what happens.
Coach?
Yeah, we were talking, Mr. Wiltfong. Nice to see you again. But
Coach!
We'll talk about our relationship here in a second. But we talked about Indiana having this gauntlet of 3 games, and we've talked all season long prior to this season how important the Illinois, Iowa, Oregon 3-game gauntlet would be. In Indiana, by winning the first 2, is, like you kind of stated earlier, Steve, is kind of playing with house money heading into Oregon. You know, had they had lost one of those 2 games, then their backs would have been against the wall heading into Eugene. Now they go there to play like you said, a phenomenal football team, well coached, has speed. And this is a game that is going to be a game that Indiana is going to have to play exceptionally well in Oregon. The one thing that I like about it is Fernando Mendoza has played at Oregon. He is aware of the circumstances, the noise, and things of that nature when he was at Cal. And quite honestly, he had a phenomenal game at Oregon that year, and Cal almost upset him a couple of years ago. So it's going to be a unique environment there, of course, on Saturday. What do you think overall from Indiana when you look at it on paper versus their top guys versus Oregon's top guys? What do you think may or may not be the differential there? Because, face it, Oregon has a lot of quote-unquote 5-star athletes in their roster up and down it. Who are the guys there at Oregon that you can think of is, hey, he's at a next level and Indiana's really going to have to bring it in order to keep that individual in check?
Well, Oregon's pretty young in the backfield. Guy that's really emerging for them is De'Aaron Hill. He's out of Chicagoland. He's averaging over 10 yards per carry. He was a real difference maker in that Penn State game. They also played another freshman, Jordan Davison, who's really emerging for them. He's got 7 rushing touchdowns, but one thing he really does for the Ducks is he blocks. He's kind of a glue guy on that offense, an unsung hero that gets rewarded all those touchdowns for his hard work on the drive. Much has been made about Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, and rightfully so. He is a special and unique talent that's going to hear his name called early in the NFL draft. This year's true freshman receiver, last year's number 1 ranked wide receiver in the country, DeCorian Moore. He is also of that caliber. He is already Oregon's leading receiver. As the season continues, he is someone that is going to continue to be more and more of a problem for defenses. You don't want this game to be DeCorian Moore's real coming out party on the national stage. So it's going to be very important for guys in that Indiana secondary like Lewis Moore to play at a high level against DeCorian Moore. Obviously, defensively, this is a team that's going to be in position to make plays. Bear Alexander and those guys kind of control the line of scrimmage. Mateo Uagalele is someone that can really get after the quarterback. He's one of the Big Ten's best pass rushers. But Indiana is the only team in the country coming into this game that ranks top 5 in offense and defense. And Oregon's going to have to play well to win this game as well. I think Indiana both these teams take on the personality of their head coach, and that is the true sign of a great program and a great culture. And Indiana is incredibly confident. They're healthy, and they're going to go out to Autzen Stadium and play with house money. Because again, outside of the listeners to this program, not many people are not expecting Indiana to play well in this game because they're still living off of a performance against Ohio State and Notre Dame last year. But Indiana is a full year better, a full year culture ingrained, another full off season ready to play. And this is a team that is still on the rise. Now we're going to find out this weekend if this is a playoff team or is this a playoff team ready to make a run this year, compete for a Big Ten championship and beyond. That's what's at stake for the Hoosiers this weekend.
Yeah, I said before the season started, Indiana can go 10-2 and should be able to make the CFP as long as those 2 losses are to Ohio State and Penn State, and if they are competitive. Now, that mantra changes a little bit. That makes that Penn State game a dangerous game, I think, because it's still going to be a tough game in a unbelievably tough environment. Penn State is way better than what we saw against UCLA, I think, but they did get beat, and there was a lot that goes into it. But they will be ready for Indiana when that game comes around. I don't know that they have to win that game, but man, oh man, they have to play that game close too, because there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. There's going to be a lot of 9-3 SEC teams that might deserve to get in this year because of the parity in the SEC. But the Big Ten is top heavy.
I'm reading the chat here. Brian S. says, if Mendoza goes 18-34 for 177 in a pick, IU will get killed. Yes, but Indiana is the most efficient passing team in the country. If you look at the way they scheme it up on Saturday, Mendoza schemed into a lot of easy completions, and these guys are able to make plays after the catch because of the superior coaching by Coach Shanahan, Coach Signetti, and this coaching staff. They really put these kids in position to be efficient and make plays and play with confidence and play fast. And I just can't imagine a scenario where Indiana's quarterback is incomplete on 16 pass attempts the way they have it going. Now, for Oregon, it's keeping everything in front of them. You know, Indiana, a lot of horizontal plays and things like that. If Oregon can tackle in space, which they're one of the best defensive teams in the country. If they can tackle in space, that's going to be a little bit of a problem for Indiana. Then they're going to have to grind out possessions similar to the way they did against Iowa.
Yeah, and what we saw against that was similar to what happened in the Ohio State game last year. They went with the blitz, and it reminded me of remember the Titans, and you blitz all night. Well, they blitzed all day, and so and Fernando just didn't have the time that he needed to normally run that offense. I was a little surprised they didn't alter the offense to run some quicker plays like the one they scored on to win it. But I wonder if Oregon will follow that mantra and say, hey, we got to blitz these guys and put Fernando Mendoza under constant pressure. I think we lost Steve for a second.
Oh, I'm here. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Look, Oregon's going to have, similar to what we said last time I was on, Phil Parker, Iowa, that defense, that was going to be a challenge for Indiana, and they rose to the occasion and got a big win on the road, but it certainly wasn't Swiss cheese defense like the one they carved up against a good Illini team. And so Oregon, I think that game is going to resemble more what happened at Iowa, except for Oregon has playmakers that can hit home runs. They got guys that can score touchdowns from 50, 60, 70 yards. And so Indiana's going to have to limit big plays, make Oregon grind out possessions. Their quarterback, Dante Moore, is playing at a high level. He's got the talent to be the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, if not this year, if he chooses to come back in the modern football era and harness his craft a little bit more and play at Oregon for one more season. He's got that potential to be the #1 player overall. So for Indiana, not allowing big plays for these exciting playmakers like DeCorian Moore, De'Aaron Hill, Whittington and company. And then certainly on offense, not turning the ball over and consistently staying on script yourself and not getting behind the chains with penalties and things of that nature.
Yeah, you definitely cannot beat yourself. And the winning quarterback in this game will probably jump to the head of the line in the Heisman race, which that's a very fluid thing. But this is a big stage to get that attention. How important is this game to recruits? I know Oregon will have a lot of guys there because they're hosting, but Indiana will probably have a lot of guys that are watching.
Yeah, so Indiana, obviously they went on the road and beat Iowa, and there were a lot of kids from the Hoosier State in the Iowa student section that day that Iowa offered that day and then lost the ball game. And normally Iowa's a program led by Kelvin Bell's recruiting efforts. They've really come into the Hoosier State and landed some difference makers from Indiana, maybe even some unheralded guys, some guys that maybe they were the only Big Ten offer, and they went on to be some of their best players for them. For Indiana to win that game against Iowa, I think it really resonates with Midwest recruits when they go head-to-head with Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio guys. IU's always going to be, in my opinion, a developmental program, but the more games they win like this, the more opportunities they'll have to land a little bit more of a heralded guy, maybe a more of a 4 or 5 star, or excuse me, more of a 4-star recruit. But a recruiting ranking is just a preview to what the guy's potential can be. Indiana, under Coach Cignetti, they don't really need to change the script that much. I know they're trying to win the last game of the year like everybody else, so they'll continue to try and construct a roster that gets them there. But obviously, this is a scheme, culture-driven sport, and Coach Cignetti and his staff have changed the culture and identity of this football program. And with the guys they have in the locker room, they put them in positions to maximize their potential and play at a high level. And yes, they were a finalist for the #1 defensive lineman in the country, Jalen Brewster. He's got some Indiana ties. Coach Haynes knows his dad from the Ball State days or whatever. But they didn't land him. But Indiana is going to be more attractive to the guys they want to land, the guys that they spend a lot of time evaluating, Coach Wilson, Coach Ferrara, that off-field staff that helps evaluate. The guys they want to land that they pour into and say, we love his potential off junior and senior film, winning's going to help landing those guys. And I would stay with that script, the Mark D'Antonio script that won 11 games 5 years in a row at Michigan State. They did that by landing a few four stars, prominent guys locally, but just landed a lot of guys with chips on their shoulders that have high upside, and then they get the best out of them. That's going to be Indiana's identity. But now in the transfer portal era, you can take that up another level and go out and land a guy that can then be the best quarterback in college football, because ultimately to win those last games of the year, you got to have great quarterback play, unless you have one of those Georgia defenses that had like 12, 13 highly drafted guys on your 2 deep on defense. So Indiana, they've been able to go into the transfer portal the last 2 years and land one of the best quarterbacks and then maximize their play. So being smart in the transfer portal, landing guys that are high upside football recruits. So not taking slow receivers, not taking stiff linebackers, not taking defensive backs that don't have makeup speed. That's the recipe, right? There's so many good football players out there and then being smart in the transfer portal. And I think that's what we're seeing with Indiana. But more than anything, they just take the guys they got and they roll the ball out there and they get the best out of them.
Yeah, Kyle Neddenriep from Indy Star was on earlier in the program. He covers, obviously, high school football in the state, and he knows it like the back of his hand. And we was just talking about Indiana is in on a 5-star wide receiver from the state, which Indiana has never landed a 5-star football player. That will happen eventually. When, I don't know, but that would be a good one for them. And the offense that Indiana runs, knowing that the quarterback play that Kirk Cignetti is able to produce year after year, and to see that the success the wide receivers are currently have, that makes Indiana a good option, especially when they are competitive with these upper level teams. And not only that, maybe Indiana is one of these upper level teams. We still don't know who's what, to be honest with you.
Well, to land a 5-star, Jim and Coach Griffith, it also takes a lot of moolah. And do you want to invest that cash into this one kid that who knows where he'll fall on your depth chart in year 1? Or do you want to go into the transfer portal and get 4 all-conference players with the same amount of money that have college experience? So those are other
production
things.
Over potential. That's so what Kirk Cignetti likes to say.
Those are other things. And look, if you're a 5-star, your chances of being drafted and then being drafted in the first round are significantly higher than a young man that's not. But we still see kids that get drafted in the first round that were unranked or low ranked, and their ball is dropped in college or whatever, or they developed and they're writing their own stories and their own scripts. But there's some programs that have more support than others as far as booster money and financial support. I don't fully know where Indiana fits in that regard, but they're in the mix.
Obviously, they're not at the Texas Tech level.
No one's at Texas Tech level right now, but they're, in addition to Texas Tech, anytime I report that they have a good shot to land a great player, people are like, the oil money. You're not even in the conversation if you don't have a good product, which is, Texas Tech's the favorite in the Big 12. Their head coach, Joey McGuire, leads the charge on the recruiting trail. He is as engaging as any head coach in the country with their top recruits. It doesn't hurt the fact that he was a high school coach in the Lone Star State at a program he built into a powerhouse, then was an assistant at Baylor under Matt Rule. And then that staff collectively, the inroads they have with in-state targets, relationships are fantastic. And then certainly they're playing at a high level. They went out and bought the best transfer portal class in the country last year. Those guys are performing. They have a terrific quarterback room with 2 future pros, including maybe a first rounder and Will Hammond. So they're in the conversation to then drop the highest money to land the best players. And so Indiana, I don't know what kind of support they have from a financial standpoint, but I know the on-field product is awesome. I think they got some really good recruiters on their coaching staff, guys that go out and engage with their top targets, guys that have good personalities that kids want to play for. And then certainly what they watch on Saturday resonates. And if they go out and play well against Oregon, these guys that Indiana covets in Illinois, Ohio, and then certainly in state that they've lost in recruiting battles to the Penn States and Iowas and Iowa States of the world in the past, Indiana is going to start winning those battles. But I don't want Indiana to ever get caught up in like a star rating or whatever, because they didn't get here by getting caught up in a star rating. They got here by getting the right guys for them and then getting the best out of them. And that continues to be the recipe. And Mark D'Antonio is someone who I thought was one of the best coaches in college football. If you would have gave Mark D'Antonio a transfer portal to go along with what they did high school recruiting wise, now they had great quarterback play that they recruited from high school, but maybe if they would have landed an extra player or 2 out of the portal, could they have won a national championship at Michigan State back then, as opposed to just winning a couple Big Ten titles in the era where Urban Meyer was the coach? They went into Ohio State and beat the Buckeyes with the likes of Ezekiel Elliott and all them dudes running around, that's as impressive a win as Michigan State has. And Indiana is capable of that. Can they do that? Can they go out into Oregon and win at Autzen Stadium the same way Mark D'Antonio and some of those Michigan State teams were able to go into Ohio, into the shoe and beat those uber talented Buckeyes teams with the Bosa and all them boys?
It's certainly going to be fun. I think it's going to be an outstanding game. I think it's going to live up to the expectations, but we'll have to find out. And simply by listening to everything that Steve Wiltfong from On3 had just said, that's why that's where you should be going to get your information. The Hoosier.com On3 is full of information like this. Not just Steve, but you've got many others, Andy Staples, Pete Nakos, all this great information, but they know it inside and out. Steve saturates recruiting. He knows who's going where and who's in on whom and everything else. And man, we appreciate getting to talk to you, because it's just like pushing a button and sitting back and letting you go, because you are filled with information. Man, you are on top of it. And he lives in Indiana, so he knows this area. And it's so refreshing to be able to hear something so clean and so knowledgeable on that.
Well, thanks, man. I need you to give my eulogy here, Jim.
Well, hopefully we won't be doing that. Yeah, hopefully not doing that for a while. But, man, I cannot thank you guys enough. It's just been – and On3 is doing so much. They've added so much, and there's more coming yet is the amazing thing.
Look, there's so much excitement around this Indiana football program. If you want to get on and talk ball every day, I live for it. You know, get on this website, get on the message boards. I come from the message board era, man, where people get on and chat about their teams and bullshit and just throw stuff at the wall and troll people and all of that. Like, let's get on there. Let's get on there and talk Hoosier football. I'm excited about – I get caught up in the excitement of these football programs as well, not just Indiana and the in-state programs, but just anybody that's doing well, man. I just like getting in there and mixing it up, but it's just easy to have so much respect. And I was fortunate enough to be able to interview Coach Cignetti but right before the season last year, and just getting – who's in charge when you walk into that football facility. The presence he has and the confidence he has. I mean, he told me that, he didn't want to – when my tape recorder was off, he's like, that's off. We're going to be pretty good this year. And I didn't know, I mean, I didn't know that they were – I knew that they would be better just because of his track record and history of development. Again, the number one thing with Coach Cignetti is he knows what – in his staff, they know what they have. And so, Coach, why should a quarterback come to Indiana? Well, my last 4 or 5 quarterbacks have been the Conference Player of the Year, and they have different skill sets. So they're not running just this vanilla – they're not running the same scheme every year, and you have to fit into it. You get to be who you are. They figure out what they have, and they scheme around the human. And then defensively, Coach Haynes, I can't say enough just what a great freaking coach he is. And – he did a head job.
New father, by the way. He's a new father.
Well, mazel tov, as we say around these.
Yes.
Here,
little baby girl named Grace, just awesome. So,
maybe I think volleyball player, right?
Probably so, because Mama looks like an athlete as well, as was Brian. Brian is, every time I'm around, I'm like, damn, I didn't remember you being this big. I'm 6'1", and he's 6'3", maybe 6'4". So you could see what he must have been like.
He was in the mix for the Ball State job. He's now going to have an opportunity to maybe even pick his next job with how much he's got it rolling. One of the top coordinators in college football, right there in the mix with the guy he's going to go against, Will Stein, this weekend. Will Stein is someone that's on all these head coaching hot boards right now. And he doesn't need to just go take a job to make a few $1 million extra a year. He can be a little choosy and maybe get into a program that's got a chance to win at a high level. Will Stein versus Coach Haynes this weekend is one of the best coordinator matchups in college football. I'm actually going to share that on social media here when we hang up, because those are two of the best assistant coaches in the country. And then you got Coach Shanahan, man. He's just kind of – Will Stein's getting all this praise as an offensive coordinator, but Coach Shanahan does a fantastic job of dialing up and calling a game for Indiana to stay ahead of the chains, man. If you stay ahead of the chains, you got a chance to score. So just some great coaching that's going to be on the field in this game. Obviously, Oregon's defensive coordinator is Tosh Lupoy, who has Gruden hours in the football facility. If you go by Oregon's football facility, you're going to see Tosh Lupoy's car out in front the whole time. And so just some great coaches that are going to be on display in this game. And I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. The excitement of the possibilities, just of this being a great game. And that's how I love just being in great game and great game environments. Iowa, a great environment. This is going to be amazing as well. Let's see, how shocked were you by UCLA, Penn State last week?
Well, obviously it's a surprise when you see a big upset like that. Certainly wouldn't have predicted it, but Penn State wasn't ready to play. I mean, they just lost to Oregon at night at home in their whiteout game and flew cross country to play a game that they thought that they were going to win, and the other team showed up to play. And certainly Penn State rallied and dominated the second half, but it was too little too late, and they lost the game to a team that they would beat 98 times out of 100. But that's why you got to show up and play every Saturday, or something like that can happen. And now Penn State has really seen a lot of the things that were in their crosshairs evaporate. A Big Ten championship. Can they make they're a desperate football team. Now they got some opportunities to show that they can be one of the best teams at the end of the season and build a resume. They get to play at Ohio State. They got some games where they can then put together a resume, because this is resume building season, October, November. They still have a chance to put together a resume to say, hey, we deserve to be one of the 12. But man, their program went from being a national title favorite to, are they even going to play in the college football playoff? It's the percentages are a lot lower now because they went out and lost the game they had no business losing. But it happens. That's why you got to show up ready to play every week. And it's hard to win no matter who you play against. So you never take winning for granted. And just as disappointing a loss as any team's going to have this year, obviously.
Yeah, speaking of the Big Ten championship, Indiana, if they were able to win this game, that would put them on a direct path to the Big Ten championship game. They would have to play Penn State, but even if they went there and lost at 11-1 with the tiebreaker over Oregon, if they were 11-1, they would still go to likely face Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. So there's a lot on the line for this game. I know it's crazy, and it's the fact that we're even talking about that is nuts, but it's a reality. It's there. That opportunity is there.
No, absolutely. Indiana's in those conversations that we're not used to having, but maybe we will be having a lot more moving forward. And it's exciting to see all the national attention around this football program in this state. Game day, Fox Big Noon, they should have all been at Indiana, Illinois. Obviously, game day's out there for Oregon, Indiana. And so they always interview the opposing head coach during that broadcast. So people will continue to get a taste of Curt Cignetti and what he's about and his personality and his energy and his quirkiness. But it is awesome, and it's a fun time to be around the program. I thank you guys for having me on. Obviously, I've known Coach Griffith for a long time. He coached a little football with my father-in-law. And so we've known each other for quite some time, and I covered his kid many years ago. And he's probably making a lot of money selling medical equipment these days, like a lot of former athletes. And so always good to see him, but great to be on. And hopefully there's another big game that I can pop on here before next time, whether that's Penn State or however that looks moving forward. But thanks for having me on. Get over to Indiana's rival site. I'm on there all the time, and look forward to the next time, boys.
Steve, cannot thank you enough, man. You are the best, and we appreciate you.
Yep. Take care, guys. See ya.
Have a good one.
Steve.
Steve Wiltfong joining us on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, Coach, and that'll wrap it up for us. He brought some electricity to the show today that is greatly missing. I cannot thank you enough for throwing the life raft out. That's what I felt like. I was out in the ocean swimming, and I'm like, all right, this is not going to be fun. Shore was a long ways away, but Coach got in the boat, drove out and threw the life raft out to me, and I grabbed onto that sucker. Speaking of, Coach, you're going to get a full dose of him tomorrow, as I will be traveling to Eugene, unfortunately, during the day. I don't think I will be able to join. If I can, I will. But another great day lined up. Maybe we can get, or I'll wait for Coach Eric for next week. We didn't get to have him on, unfortunately. But plenty more coming tomorrow, Coach. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, brother, as always.
Absolutely, my man.
Take us home, man. I'll see you on the radio. And, Coach, take us home.
Hey, that was the final edition of a very, very adapt and adjust segment here on the Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Until tomorrow, we'll see you here all on Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.